Now, let's take a look at templates, because templates are going to be very helpful to our authors in setting up these properties, because as we go back through, you see there's quite a few fields and checkboxes and radio buttons and so on inside of each one of these print help and web tabs. Well, that could be a lot of work for our authors to have to deal with, right? We just want them to focus on content. We don't want them to have to focus on enabling certain checkboxes in the web tab and setting certain settings in the print tab. Well, we want to leave that work to the templates that our designers set up for our authors. All right. So what we have here, when a designer designs a template and the author bases an object on that template, the properties in that template are then inherited by that object. All right. There is inheritance between our objects and our templates. You have a visual clue to know when a property is inherited, because at the object level, that property will appear in bright blue and will be non-modifiable by our authors. So our authors base this topic on the concept template. So all of the properties associated with the concept template were assigned to this object. And we know, for example, that the concept template has the print, help, and web checkboxes enabled because we see these properties in bright blue. And if we were to try to click on them, nothing would happen because they're non-modifiable. All right, let's take a look at some other examples here. Here is a topic called chapter, or getting started, sorry. It is based on a template called chapter. All right, now if we look at the version of the template called chapter over here on the left-hand side, we see it's got some properties associated with it here. So the chapter template is set up to have a style set to auto, and we'll learn what that means in 2 modules from now. It's going to insert a superheading called chapter. It's going to insert a section break and use the media object chapter section. So my author created a topic called Getting Started based on this template here. So what happened is these properties then get assigned to that Getting Started topic. So any field that had something inside of it at the template level is now non-modifiable at the object level. So notice how the heading field was blank here in our template. Well, that's because we want our authors to be able to enter in a heading at the object level for this topic, so we've left it blank at the template level. But we want to enforce the fact that the style is set to auto and that we use a superheading called chapter. All right, so we've placed those properties inside of that template, and then at the object level, those properties were inherited. And again, they're bright blue and they're read-only, which means they were inherited by the template. They're non-modifiable. All right, if we were to change the template on the object to something else, these properties would change as well. They would be set up according to the new template. Also, if we changed a property in our chapter template, let's say that we removed this word chapter here, or we changed the insert break from section break to page break. That means that every object based on that template would now have their insert break set to page break instead. All right, so that inheritance works as a filter, where if you go back and you change that template, any object based on that template will now inherit that change. They'll inherit that property that you've changed at the template level. All right, so instead of having to go back through and find every single object based on the chapter template and changing that property, you just change it in the one place in the chapter template, and then every object based on that chapter template would then be updated. All right, inheritance is a beautiful thing. All right, and again, we are getting to the goal of making our authors' lives easier by setting up templates that enforce our standards and consistency. And we want to set up templates that enforce properties, okay? We don't want to have our authors decide what settings to place inside of each one of these fields, because that does not lead to consistency and standardization. We just want our authors to focus on content, inserting content, making sure it's accurate. We don't want them to have to focus on setting up all these different properties inside of an object. That is the job of the template.